Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So I'm here today with my July wrap up. Not only the books I read in July, but I listened to a ton of things in July, so we'll talk about that too. Actually, let's start with that. I think we'll start with that. So I'm working with Book of the Month again this month. They have so graciously reached out to me every so often, and I get a sneak peek of the books that are coming. So I have my 2 books that I picked out for July already, and I am officially obsessed with their new podcast that they launched not that long ago, actually. It's called The Virtual Book Tour, and it is a couple of hosts from Book of the Month. I believe they're part of their editorial team. Interviews a number of authors that have books that are offered through Book of the Month. The one I listened to this morning was Jennifer Hillier, which you guys know I'm absolutely in love with Jennifer Hillier, and even more obsessed with her after listening to this. She's like, I don't know, I just can connect with her on so many levels, and she just, I don't know, it just felt like I was sitting there having coffee and chatting with, my favorite author. I like they're not super long podcast episodes, so I feel like I can get through an episode on a decent walk with my dog, which is personally what I'm looking for. But yeah, I mean, just talked about her writing style or her writing process and kind of what led her to writing the books that she's been writing. It's a really, really good podcast, and I really enjoy it. So make sure you check that out for sure. You can get it through, any kind of podcast. I just listen through my phone. But check it out. I'm, like I said, mildly obsessed, and I've been listening to them quite a bit as I've been walking the dog. But I also have a couple of books from them for August that I'm super, super excited for. This was a good month. I believe there's 7 selections this month, which is pretty fantastic. Hard to narrow it down, but I only got myself 2 because you've seen the problem I have. So, but even narrowing it down to 2 was a bit tough. So, the 2 I got, I have the new Alice Feeney, Daisy Darker. Now, I fell in love with Alice Feeney when I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by her not that long ago. So I am so excited to pick this one up. I don't really know what it's about. A family reunion that leads to murder. And I believe they're isolated on this island. So we're just going to leave it at that. And then the next one I picked up was a little bit different for me, but I couldn't stop thinking about this one. It's Sweet Angels by Lauren Owen. Let me tell you what kind of drew me in. So Lucia and her sisters grew up at the edge of Mockbeggar Woods. They knew it well, its danger and also its beauty. As a lonely teenager, Kate was drawn to these sisters who were unlike any people she ever met. But when they brought her into the woods, something dark had awakened, and Kate has never been able to escape the terrible truth of what happened. And so then we have Chloe, who's planning her dream wedding, and she wants to have it at this venue called Small Angels, which is right alongside this Mockbeggar Woods, where her fiance Sam and his sister Kate, who was friends with the sisters, grew up. But days before the ceremony, Chloe starts to learn the unsettling stories about Small Angels and Mockbeggar Woods, and begins to see, smell, and hear things that couldn't possibly be real. The dog just stole my Book of the Month bookmark. So rude. Anyway, so I'm beyond excited about this one. I think this is going to be a little creepy, a little like perfect for October is kind of what I'm feeling, but I'm excited about that one. So those were the 2 books that I got from Book of the Month. All right, let's get into what I read in July, because otherwise this video is going to take forever. Okay. I don't really know what order we're going to go in, but I have the big old stack of read books right here. So first one I want to talk about is actually a middle grade book. This is The Phantom Tower by Kier Graff. This is one I would pick up randomly as I was trying to cool off after my workout. I worked out downstairs where we have a whole bunch of our kind of middle grade books are down there. I should give you a little tour of that bookshelf. It's been a hot minute since I've shared those. But this was one that was sitting there, and so I would read a few chapters as I was cooling off. And I finally got to a point in the book where I just needed to finish it. So we have 12-year-old twins. They're comb and male. They look identical, but they're very different. Identical, but they're very different. They end up moving to Chicago, and they go live in this Brunhild Tower is where they move to. And it's a little bit after their father passed away, and their mom is looking for a different job and gets hired in this at this university in Chicago. So once they get into this Brunhild Tower and they start to explore, they meet a friend whose name is Tamika, and they kind of discover there's a little bit more. There's a few secrets to this tower. And they're warned by a princess who's living there to not explore between the hours of 1 and 2 in the afternoon. And of course they do. And then they stumble upon some things. So I thought it was really cute. I enjoyed it. I don't even know what I gave it. 4 stars probably. Yeah. So the book I listened to this month, on top of all of the podcasts I was listening to, is Counterfeit. And of course I can't think of the author's name, but it's over here. Loved this book. So kind of when I'm looking for in an audiobook is something that's going to draw my attention and have enough, I guess, plot line, enough things that are going on to kind of keep me into it, interested. And this one didn't disappoint. So we have Ava, and I think her name's Ava. Yeah, Ava and Winnie. Anyways, they were best friends. I don't even want to say best friends. They were good friends in college, and then some drama occurred and Winnie ended up going back home. And so they reconnect as Ava is kind of struggling a little bit with motherhood. She gave up her career. She has a child that isn't the easiest to mother at the moment. Struggling with that, like, keep it up with the Joneses type living. And Winnie comes in and was like, hey, I'll help you out. And gets her involved in this luxury handbag counterfeit scheme. And it goes from there. And it's really, really good. Really, really liked it. Next book. Oh, gosh, we're not even getting to the good stuff yet. Max and I read Who is Alexander Hamilton by Pam Pollock and Meg Belviso. There's a whole series of these, like, Who Was books. So we read this together out loud. And I don't know, we both really enjoyed it. Learned a little bit about Alexander Hamilton, which we're both obsessed with. Another book that I picked up is The Chain by Adrian Mckinty. This was insane. This was insane. Very, very suspenseful, action-packed, could not put it down. So we have our main character, Rachel. She drops her daughter Kylie off at the bus stop as normal. She is separated or divorced from her husband, kind of living the single mom life. And she gets a phone call and basically says, I've kidnapped your daughter. You have to pay this ransom and then kidnap another child and continue on the chain before I will release your daughter. It's wild how wild this got, yet totally feasible, which is even scarier to say out loud. But it's flippin' amazing. So pick up The Chain. Oh, that was crazy. I did check off a book off of my NetGalley list. I was all over the place this month, I'm telling you. I read The Couple at Number 9. This is, I gave it 4 stars. Mystery, I think, not really thriller. I don't know, more mystery than anything. So we have our main character, Saffron, and her boyfriend, she is pregnant. Her and her boyfriend are moving into her grandmother's kind of cottage cabin second home that her grandma had that she really didn't know much about. And her grandmother had to move into a home because she is fighting Alzheimer's. And so Saffron and her boyfriend move in, and as they are making improvements to the house because they're making it their own, they're taking apart the patio and they're going to do an extension on the back. And as they're digging to do this kitchen extension, 2 bodies are found in the ground that kind of date back to when her grandmother was living there. And so she's gotta be like, Grandma, what's happening? But Grandma has Alzheimer's, so she's forgetting. So it's, how do we solve this mystery before it's completely lost? and her mom gets involved. Her mom is a little cuckoo, and it's just fantastic. It was awesome. I gave it 4 stars. Really good. I think it came out in July, so should be able to get it. Where do I go from here? I think that leaves this little pile. I also listened to The Boys in the Boat. This is by Daniel James Brown. This is one of my 5-star predictions, so you'll have to wait for my rating later, but enjoyed this audiobook. Really enjoyed this story. Did not know much about it. This is about the American rowing team who goes to Berlin in the 1936 Olympics. Again, I was fascinated by this Olympic run and this rowing team and rowing in itself. It was very, very interesting. Another 5-star prediction that you'll have to wait to see what I finally thought about it. But Last Year of the War by Susan Meisner. So this follows 2 girls. We have a German German family and a Japanese family that were living in the United States. Takes place in 1943. So they were both sent to internment camps and both repatriated, I think it's what it's called, both sent back to their home countries. And it follows that story. So I'll share more of my thoughts on my wrap up, my 5-star prediction wrap up on that one. Next book I picked up was Meet Me in Paradise. This is a buddy read that I did, and it's by Libby Hubsher. Super sweet story. I'm surprisingly, how do I say this? Like, I didn't have high expectations going into this one, but I really, really like this book, and I feel like this is one I'm gonna start recommending to quite a few people. So we have Marin and her sister Sadie. Their journalist mother passed away, and Marin kind of had to step in as the mom and help kind of raise Sadie. Marin is like the super safe, stay on the straight path kind of girl. Sadie is the go out for the adventure kind of girl. Marin's never really traveled, and Sadie sets up this fantastic sisters getaway weekend to get Marin out. And it just goes from there. And it's funny, it's fantastic, it's sweet, it's like every emotion wrapped up into one book, and I really, really enjoyed it. Okay, we're getting there. Next one I picked up is one I've been wanting to read forever. So this is like one that's been sitting on my shelf forever. It's Something in the Water by Catherine Steadman. Such a good mystery, suspenseful book. So we have our 2 main characters, which of course I don't see. Oh, Aaron and Mark. And they go on a honeymoon on an island in Bora Bora, and they take a boat out one time and go scuba diving and come across something in the water. And it just gets crazy from there. It's insane. And the opening chapter of this book is like the best opening chapter that I've read in a long time. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. The last couple of books I had high hopes for. Kind of fell a little short. I did read Hide by Kirsten White, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. It just wasn't quite the suspenseful crazy that I was looking for. It read a little YA-ish and a little magical realism to it. But it takes place in an abandoned amusement park, and there's something there that you need to hide from in order to survive. I still think it's worth the read, just don't have like huge expectations. If that makes sense at all. And then the next one is The Lake by Natasha Preston. This is my first Natasha Preston book. I read this at the lake, which gave me super creepy vibes. It was fantastic. So we have Esma and Caleb. They're coming back as counselors to a camp that they attended in the past, and something happened to them in the past that made them kind of run away from this camp for quite a long time, and they're kind of coming back to revisit it and face the past and deal with this mystery that happened. It is a YA, and it was very YA. And I think I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. Just wasn't like blow me away. I will read another Natasha Preston book because I did get through it fairly quickly, and it was a good little like whodunit, what happened. Little predictable though. So 10 books in July, listened to a ton of podcasts. It was just a really productive month, and I'm loving it. I don't have such high hopes for August. We'll see what happens. But I did finish 1 book already, and then I'm in the midst of reading Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, which I'm absolutely loving this book. And I still have quite the pile that I wanted to get through for the summer that's right here. So August hopefully will be just as productive, fingers crossed. But yeah, otherwise, what was a really good book that you read in July? And have you listened to the Book of the Month podcast yet? let's chat about below because I'm absolutely loving it. Highly suggest go check out the Jennifer Hillier one. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye.